Risk criteria also includes risk ranking. So the risk rankings are going to compromise intersections, if you will, in the matrices. So a pair of consequence, severity, and likelihood of an event are going to be paired together, and they're going to be assigned a risk ranking that defines how bad is the risk of that combination of consequence and likelihood. So I'm going to show you first what this risk ranking looks like in a study that's been defined for an explicit LoPA, and then I'll go back and show you an implicit LoPA. So the risk ranking is going to have a code again, which is kind of the shorthand format that's going to be viewed in the matrix when you look at the matrix. Then there's going to be a verbal description of what that level of risk means. You're going to have the ability to select a color that represents that type of risk, so you can kind of get an easier feel for it when you're looking at a matrix. And then all of the risks are assigned a priority, with 1 being the highest, and then as the numbers increase from 1, that represents lower levels of risk. So 1 generally the highest priority of the risk ranking. So those are numbers and categories that are going to be assigned to the matrix intersections, which we'll come back to in a second. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this LoPA study, which was defined using explicit, and I'm going to go into a different LoPA where we used implicit risk tolerance criteria. So when I do that, I'm going to go back to the risk tolerance criteria, and I'm going to look at that risk ranking page, and you'll see that it looks very similar. There's a code, there's a description, there's a color, there's a priority. But there is now an additional table called required LoPA credits. And that means if you land, or if a matrix intersection is assigned this risk ranking, how many orders of magnitude of risk reduction are going to be required in order to make the risk tolerable. So in this case, our code 5 very high requires 3 orders of magnitude of risk reduction, or 3 LoPA credits. Code 4 requires 2 credits. Code 3 requires 1 credit. So that gives you the ability to do your LoPA both in an order of magnitude credit format, and then also the completely explicit numerical format. So 2 different types of risk ranking depend on whether you pick explicit or implicit as the format for your database.